Hi everybody, it's Carol with Refunction Crafts. I'm going to give this a go today by popular demand. Everybody's wanted me to do one of my compact mirrors with the ocean themed background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this image of an ocean scene to make this as easy as possible for people who want to try this. Today in this video, I am using a two-part epoxy resin. There are resins, crafting resins you can buy out there where you can just use, I think, a single part. My husband buys this for his projects, so I use his resin. The first thing I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to spread around some glossy accents if I can get it to come out of the bottle. We have to work fast today because I've already mixed my resin, and so we've only got so much time to work with it. Now I have a longer work time resin that I'm using. Some of them you only have like 7 minutes, which would be like your Alumilite resin. So if you're doing crafting resin type projects, don't buy Alumilite. It's great for what my husband does, which is big projects. He turns pens and jewelry pots and things like that. And for that purpose, he uses Alumilite, and he uses, he's been using a new product that he got that is called Liquid Diamonds, and he seems to really like that product as well. But I want to get this in this compact fairly quickly. So what I did was I used glossy accents on the bottom of the compact, and I just adhered this image to the compact. Okay, so I have already mixed my resin. This is my two-part epoxy resin. This brand here is Art Resin, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to color some of this resin so that I can make the effects of the waves and the varying colors of the ocean and so forth. Oh, and don't forget, if you're going to work with resin, always, always, always use rubber gloves. I almost forgot to put mine on, and I would have been a mess. I have about 30 minutes to work with this resin that I have mixed up already, and it took me a few minutes to get prepared after I mixed up my resin. So I have about 30 minutes left. So we're going to try and work quickly, you guys. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some of this resin into these little tiny cups, and I'm going to color it with some resin inks. So I'm going to pour a little bit in each one of these 3 little cups. I don't need a lot because obviously I'm not filling in a large surface. So the colors that I'm going to be using are a blue and a green and white. So these are the 3 colors that I'm going to be using in these little tubes. Now the one thing that you have to remember when you are coloring your resin, this dye goes a long, long way. So you don't want, the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to put too much. So I just put 1 drop of white dye on this popsicle stick, and I'm just going to stir it into this. Juju, no, Juju, stop, stop. Sorry guys, that's my dogs. And the neighbor's dogs, we can hear them all. I've got the window open, so it makes it even worse. Sorry everybody. But I'm not going to stop my video because I have to do this as quickly as possible. So we have our white. We're going to put this popsicle stick aside because we don't want to mix the colors. Okay, the next color that I'm going to do is blue. Now this blue is very strong. I used some in something that I did the other day, and you can see I barely put just a little dab, and I'm even going to sort of wipe that off. In fact, I'm going to wipe a little bit off onto my napkin because I don't want it to be too dark. It's like barely a touch. In fact, I should have just used probably a toothpick instead of a popsicle stick. Actually, this blue, that's okay, because this blue is okay if it's a little darker. I just thought about that. I do want the blue to be a little bit darker than the green. Because or actually maybe the blue a little bit lighter and then the green a little bit darker. I think that's what I'm going to do. And the green so we have our blue, and then this one's going to be the green, and I'm going to add a little bit of blue to the green, so I'm just going to use this same stick. And I do want the green to be fairly dark because it's going to fill in some of these really dark spots on this image. However, the dark is going to come through also. So maybe the best thing is to keep it, a fairly decent green. This is just kind of a sort of an ocean green. So we'll be using these two colors and kind of mixing them in together. So we've got our blue, our green, and our white. And we're going to close up these ink containers. This ink will get on everything if you're not careful. You can see I've got it on my gloves. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of this clear resin, and the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to use this well, I think I'll use this tongue depressor first. In fact, I'll get a clean one. Make sure that the surfaces that you're working with on everything, I'm going to use one of these tongue depressors to just put a little bit of this clear resin onto the top of this image. And I'm just going to sort of cover it a little bit with the clear. So you can see I'm just going to spread that around on the top of the image and go to the edges. And then we're going to be adding the colors on top of that. And I really hope I can work fast enough to do this, you guys, because I have some other molds here that I want to fill as well with the clear resin. That's why I made so much of it, so that I could do this and I could do my clear resin over the top of some of my dried flower molds. And I was going to show you that I've got some dried flower molds made up too that I'm going to be making. So, sorry. I'm trying to concentrate. I'm trying to get this to the edges and then get moving on. Okay, so we have resin over the entire top of this image. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these toothpicks and I'm just going to start, oops, I forgot to put the white cap on, sorry. I'm just going to start using some of these colors. I'm going to start with some green, and I'm just going to kind of put it in there over this dark area here. And just kind of a little bit up into here. And I've got way more made up than I really needed. So just so you guys know, I'm going to put some blue in here in this area. And you'll see I'm kind of trying to work fast And I'm just kind of streaming it in over the areas that are already blue. But where you're going to really see the difference is when I start adding that white in. Because the white is going to create your clouds and your white caps in the water. So it's going to look really, really, really pretty. So I've got my blue going in there. And now I'm going to take a new toothpick and I'm going into the white. I'm going in, you guys. The white is where you've got to be really careful because the white comes out very strongly, and that white is what's going to give you your almost your 3D effect in the water. So I'm just kind of swirling that around, and this is how I kind of get that stormy look in the water. And I'm just swirling it on those white caps wherever I see them sort of painted onto that image. And if you get outside the lines, don't worry, you guys. It's okay, because you're gonna move this stuff around as you go. And really, that image, all that's there for is to give you sort of a basis to go on to put in your own little swirls and bits of white caps and so forth. So you don't have to worry really too much about where you're going with this, because you're making your own white caps. Again, what's on that image is only there for the purpose of seeing where you want to go with these lines. And you don't even have to use an image, but I did because I think anybody who's going to try this for the first time should should have something to help make the process a little smoother. See, I got kind of a lot right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of swirl that across, swirl that up. We're going to make some stormy waters here. So we want this water to look like it's really going crazy. Because this final product is really not going to look anything like the picture that you had initially. It's just going to look like a crazy ocean scene that, there's a storm going on. So, and this is so fun, and oh my gosh, you guys, when this project is finished, and when it dries and cures, oh my gosh, it just comes out so gorgeous. And just think about the water, and think about how you see all those little white caps kind of all over the place when the water's moving around all the time. And then also I'm going to go up here where there would be clouds in the sky. I'm going to try and form some clouds as well, because you can't have stormy water without cloudy skies. You just can't. So we have some clouds now, and this looks amazing. Now, what I'm going to end up doing at the end of this video is I am going to post pictures of this, but I'm not going to post those pictures until this is completely dry. Because here's the thing. If I was to move it in order to show you guys what it looks like, then I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to ruin the whole thing, because the resin is still very wet and still very movable on this compact. So I would just probably destroy the whole thing if I did that, and we don't want to do that. So all I'm doing now is I'm just kind of creating some sort of waves and swerves and swirlies and things like that, so that it looks like the water is really sort of angry. And this is where it's kind of coming up on shore down here. And then later what I would do is I would embellish this and add some other bits and pieces to it. But what I'm going to show you now, I'm sorry, I'm getting into my box here. I want to show you the one that I've already completed so that you can all see just how pretty these come out. This is one that I've completed, and actually I think this one that I'm working on now is probably going to be even prettier. And the thing is I add diamond dust and other things to these. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow this one to dry. I can hold it up straight so that you can sort of see what I've come up with. This is what we've got so far. Let me straighten it out. This is what I have so far. Isn't it gorgeous? I mean, it just looks like the water is just going crazy, and you've got your clouds in the sky and all that good stuff. So now I'm going to go ahead and let this dry. And what I'll do, you guys, is I'll come back with another video. And in that video, we will embellish this compact. I'll either do that, or I will hold off on posting this video, wait till that cures, and tomorrow I'll do the other half of it and we'll add it to the video. The next thing that I'm going to do right now is, while I've got you guys here, I have made up this mold, and it's got a whole bunch of dried flowers in it. Different kinds of dried flowers that I've ordered, and I'll show you some of the packages. They're all pressed flowers. So this is what I use in these. These ones you can't see, but they're really, really pretty, and they're in these, and there's some pressed roses and all kinds of different flowers. And I've got other ones that I use as well, some greenery and things like that. So that's what I've got in these little molds. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this resin that's clear, and I have this little squeezy thing that I'm going to suck the resin up into so that I can put it into these molds. And it's not moving very quickly, so I may end up having to use a popsicle stick. But for now, I really want to use this because I want to get it back behind those flowers that are set already in this resin. And this is a process because it's not a quick, how do you do, we're going to get this filled and we're going to be done with it. You have to be careful. There are a lot of bubbles in this resin, and we want to create as few bubbles as we can when we're making these. And we want to kind of move those flowers around a little bit because we want that resin to get up underneath them. So I will move them around a little bit more after I get them all filled with the resin. This just doesn't go fast enough. I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to use my tongue depressor because I need to get these filled quicker than this. I'm not going to have a lot of working time with my resin, and I don't want it to start hardening before I'm done. So this is the thing with resin, you guys. You have to be really careful about your time management. Number one, you only get so much time to make these things. And if you wait too long, it's going to start to cure, and it's not going to be any good to work with. It'll literally start to harden in that cup. It starts getting, when the cup starts getting hot, you know that it's starting to cure. And my cup is getting warm now, so I need to work quickly. And when you're, just a reminder, if you're working with this kind of resin, or really any kind of resin, always, always, always wear gloves on your hands, because you don't want to have an allergic reaction to it or have something go wrong because, you know, you've touched the resin and it's you know, it can cause problems. So you just always want to work in a ventilated area and also wear your gloves. So that's my lesson for today. That's my big speech for today. And I'm hoping, you know, I laid these flowers in there, but I laid them in there before I laid any resin in. And I'm hoping that resin builds up underneath and around these flowers, because I usually, I try to remember to place a layer of resin underneath them. I mean, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But since these are sort of whole flowers, I'm sort of afraid that the resin's not going to get up in and behind these flowers. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to have lumps on the other side of this mold, and that's the front side. So these are really domey molds that I'm working with here. They have a really great dome on the top, and they look so pretty when they're finished. I'm going to show you some finished ones that I pulled out of the molds yesterday that came out really nice, although they were just kind of samples for me with this mold, because I hadn't used this mold before, so I wanted to test it out and see how they were going to come out. And it just so happened that I did it outside, and it was really hot outside, and I was, the day before yesterday is when I did them, and then I put them in my husband's pressure pot so that they could cure and get the bubbles out. So when I was working with them the day before yesterday, it was really hot, and I was just uncomfortable, and I really kind of wasn't feeling good. So I didn't take my time with them like I normally do, like I am now. That's why I had these all set up and had the flowers already in them, because I had a specific way I wanted to lay those flowers out, and I didn't want to mess it up. So these should turn out exceptionally pretty. Most of them anyway. I just hope this resin is getting up under those flowers, because if it's not, then I'm going to have a ruined set of pretties. And wasted dry flowers. Those dry flowers are expensive, you guys, just so that you know. I buy mine on Amazon, and they are not cheap. So you have to use them sparingly, and you want to make sure that when you lay them out, that you're putting them out there exactly the way you want them to look. Because if you don't, and you're disappointed in the way that you laid them out, or you didn't put enough thought into it, or what have you, then you're just going to be mad at yourself for wasting all those beautiful flowers. And you don't want to do that. I'm thinking maybe on one or two of these I might even add a little bit of color from one of these other cups that I have here. I think I will. Just a dot. Because sometimes when you add a little bit of color here and there, it just kind of adds that extra depth. So you just kind of put it in a corner, or you know, somewhere where it will be seen. And this one I'm adding green. I think I'm going to add some blue. Maybe even a little blue to that one. Should add a little bit more pigment to it. too much. There we go. See, that made that a whole lot darker. Look at how much darker just that tiny bit on the end of a toothpick did. Okay. And we've got a couple of these that don't have much color base to them, so that's kind of why I'm adding a little extra color, a little extra flair. Maybe put a little bit of white into a couple of them and be done. Okay, get that stick back in there. And here all I'm doing is adding a couple of little dots of white. And on a couple of these, this is only going to show in the back because the flowers are pretty much covering the whole front of the piece. So okay, now a couple of these need a little bit more resin in them, so I'm going to finish filling them. This one definitely needs more. This one needs just a dot more. And you can see where a couple of these the resin has gotten up underneath the flowers because it has burped, so to speak, and the air bubbles are coming to the top. So now I'm just pushing these flowers down to make sure, thank you, to make sure that they are under the resin and the way that I want them. And then I'll put them in my husband's pressure pot. And then he will pressurize them for me so that all of those air bubbles come out. And we will have one very, very beautiful set of pendants that we can use for whatever purposes we choose. So, okay, so I'm getting these. I got to add some more resin to this one. I just noticed it's not very full. So we're going to dump a little more resin in there. And we're going to dump a little more resin in there. And dot one there. If you hear my husband whispering to the dogs, he's having a chit chat with the doggies right now, petting them. I know last time we could hear him whispering his pet talk to the dogs. Some of you probably thought there was some crazy stuff going on. It's just my husband talking to his doggies. We love our doggies. Okay, so those are all full. And now I am going to take them, and if you don't have a pressure pot, which we do, and we're going to put these in the pressure pot, what you would want to do is you'd want to take a lighter, light it up, and gently go across the top of these with a lighter. And that will pop all of those surface bubbles that you see at the top and get them out of there. But this is what the molds look like so far. And then in my follow-up video and or my finish up video for this, because we're gonna, remember, we're gonna finish up the video on the compact as well, I will show you exactly how these came out. Right now I'm just kind of going back behind here and I'm popping some big bubbles that are on the back sides of these. Okay, so we've got those done, and now I've got some resin left over that I'm not using. Unfortunately, that's not a good thing. I don't like to do that, but I don't have anything that I need to pour right now, so we're just gonna put that stuff in the cup and we're going to toss it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off these gloves. I'm just going to show you guys really quick the ones that I already did the other day. Sorry, that's an airplane flying overhead. We live just about a mile away from the municipal airport here, so and excuse my hands, I've got some green dye on my hands right now, so but I'm just going to really quick show you guys the other ones that I did that I pulled out yesterday. Here's some of them from the same molds that I just poured. Okay, these look really, really pretty, you guys. They came out gorgeous, but the ones that I just did I think are going to be even prettier, just because I laid them out in a more organized fashion. And here's some other ones. These are some of the bigger ones that I did. So I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with these, whether I make pendants or keychains or what have you. Anyway, for now, thanks for watching. I think, I don't know that I'm going to say goodbye to you right now, because I think I may come back tomorrow and finish this video and just add the two together and give you a finished product on the resin pendants and the compact mirror. So for now, I'm going to leave and come back. Bye-bye. Okay, so now we're going to finish this video. I've gotten everything out of the, these were in a pressure pot curing overnight. This resin takes 24 hours to cure. So you want to leave it alone. Once you put those in the molds, you basically want to leave it alone. But the first thing we're going to do, this is the compact mirror that we did yet. Well, I did it yesterday. You're going to think it's today. And so we've got it completed. It's cured. The resin has cured on top of this. So that's what we have as our ocean, I call it the stormy seas scene. So now what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to just do a little bit of embellishing on this so that you can see kind of how I do that. These beach scene compact mirrors are some of the favorites that people have actually purchased the most from my my Etsy shop. I sell these in my Etsy shop, just so you know. Right now I only have one in there, and then this one will be going in there next. But I do sell a lot of these, and I think it's just mainly because it's the beach scene, but I just recently started doing these ones with the resin on top. This is actually, in fact, only the second compact that I've done resin on. So what I'm doing now is I'm adding a bead of E6000 around the outer edge of this top lip on this compact mirror. You can see I'm just putting a thin layer of E6000 around the entire outside. And this E6000 is having trouble. It keeps getting stuck. There must be a clump in there somewhere. Anyway, so we're putting it around the entire outside edge. And then we're going to add some rhinestone chain around the edge of this compact. And we don't want to get so much E6000 that it's oozing out everywhere. So we're trying to get an even coat. I just wish I could get it to stop clogging up. We're trying to get an even coat and get it around the entire outside edge of this compact. And I'm going to just squeeze this and try and get out whatever clump is causing me problems. And you need to make sure you're trying not to get this E6000 on that resin, because if it sticks to that, it's going to be hard to get off. You don't want to be messing with this resin. Although it cures in 24 hours, you really, something like this, the odd thing with resin like this is that the thinner the resin is, the longer it takes to cure. So if I did an item like, let's see, we'll say this pot. My husband made this jewelry pot, and what it has is it's made of resin and pencils, colored pencils. Isn't that marvelous? This is one that I've sold to someone who is coming to pick it up. But we have another one that's in our shop like this. But to cure something like this takes less time than to cure something that is this tiny and has that tiny thin layer of resin. I don't know why that is. It's a strange thing. But if you watch any of the YouTube videos on resin casting, some of them, in some of those videos, they will tell you, you know, the smaller amount takes longer to cure than a larger amount. So keep that in mind when you're playing with resin, that when you're doing, if you're doing arts and crafts like I'm doing here, and I just left one extra rhinestone on here. I wasn't sure when I cut it off because I was trying to measure it and I wasn't sure if I had everything sticking upwards. I know I tell you all in all of my videos, when you put your rhinestones on your compact mirror, make sure they're facing upwards and not out. You want them facing up so that when you look at your compact mirror, you're looking at rhinestones, not the side of the rhinestones. Very easy to put these on here. There is a lip on these compact mirrors. Oh, and I think I forgot to tell you guys in my other video, I buy these compact mirrors at Michael's. They are not expensive to buy. The most expensive part is embellishing them and whatever time you put into working on them. Because sometimes these things can be rather time consuming. So if you're selling things like this, you want to make sure that you're accounting for your time as well, because that's valuable in and of itself. So just make sure that, you know, I hear a lot of times, you know, people say, oh, well, that's just so expensive. You know, I could make it for less money. Well, you could make it for less money than I'm going to sell it to you, but you have to remember that I have put my time into this project, and there's a couple of spots here that I didn't get enough E6000 on. So I'm just squeezing a little extra out here. I think what I need to do is grab another tube so that I'm not messing with this so much. But anyway, people will say, you know, and sometimes it can kind of make you feel bad because you know the work you've put into your pieces and you know the money that you've put into your pieces. And when you're adding your own talent, you know, they may be able to make it, probably not exactly like you do. And that's okay too. But it's not really fair to tell somebody, you know, well, I could make it for less unless they've tried to make something like what you're doing. Because I'll tell you, this stuff is not always that easy. If you're looking for perfection and you want to get it perfect. So that's with the rhinestone. I've got to try and hurry through this because my video is getting quite long and I really didn't want it to be a super long video. I'm sorry you guys, I'm stepping away. I had to go get a new tube of E6000. I don't want to play around with that one anymore. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I've got a little pile of embellishments here that I'm going to be using to sort of place around. I may not use all of them, but I'm going to place some of them around, and I think really what I want to do first is I'm going to take a couple of shells, maybe put one down here and one small one going this way, and then maybe one of these little snail shells in the middle. I don't want to cover up all of my pretty design that's on the front of this compact, so I think I'm going to keep the embellishments at a minimum and maybe just kind of keep them to one side. These are just little silver toned leaves that I had in my stash. And then I have this little rhinestone butterfly. This I got from Kiki Sale. If you guys are interested in checking out her Facebook page, I will leave a link in the description box below so that you can have a look at her website. It's a wonderful place to buy embellishments and lace and flowers and things like that. So I always like to give her a little plug because she's a wonderful lady. The lady that runs the site is wonderful, and she just seems to get the most beautiful things. I don't know how she does it, but she does. I think we're gonna put a little turtle on there, and let's see, maybe we'll throw a little shell up here just as a little embellishment, and then maybe, I don't want to go too far with this. I'm afraid I'm going to take too much away from it by adding too many things. In this one, I'm really just kind of trying to keep it light and airy, and maybe we'll even try and keep the shells where the butterfly is and go kind of like this. I don't know. Or maybe we'll leave the shells off and we're just going to put that butterfly on there and keep it super simple. You know what? I'm actually thinking that's what I'm going to do, you guys. I'm going to keep this one ultra simple because I love the way the top of this design came out with the resin. So I am just going to add some E6000 to the back of these little silver toned leaves. I'm going to put a couple of those on there, trying not to make the E6000 ooze out too much. Let's see, I've got some kind of sticking off of there. Okay, we'll put one going down that way. And, oh goodness, when you first open a bottle of E6000, it oozes so badly. Okay, and now I've flipped everything over here. Okay, now I'm going to put this little aqua colored butterfly in the middle of those leaves. And we are going to have this little turtle sort of coming off of there somewhere. You gotta have a turtle. I put a turtle pretty much in every ocean type piece that I do. So this turtle is going to go right there. He's just kind of swimming away from the butterfly. And that is all I'm going to put on this compact. I love it just plain like that. I think it's beautiful. It's not too bulky. And then what I will do with this, I will also make a pouch to go with this that will carry along the same theme as the compact. And it will be something that you can carry this compact around in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push that stuff aside. I'm going to leave that there so that you guys can look at it. And now we're going to take these. Actually, I want to push that over here. Or, yeah, because I've got glue stuck over here and I don't want to lay stuff in it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to open up these resin pieces. So I'm going to show you each one as I pull them out. And in fact, the best thing for you guys, hold on just a minute, I'm going to take out this little white cardboard piece that I've got some other stuff on. As you'll see from this one, there's a little spot down here where there's an edge that is sort of sticking up or sticking out, and that's where the resin kind of went over the top of the mold. That's no problem. What I'm going to do with that is I'm going to take my little sandpaper. In this case, I'll just use this. I'm going to rough that up. I'm going to sand it, try and get that little edge off. And then what I'll be doing with this is I will take and paint a little bit of resin or glossy accents over the edge of this, and you won't even know that it was like that. It'll dry clear and glossy and it'll be perfect. So let's take a look at some of these bigger ones. This is one of the hearts, and this one, oh my gosh, this one came out gorgeous. Look at that. Oh my gosh. And these are the dry flowers that I showed you earlier in the video that I made these with. So maybe I'll take a couple of these at a time and sort of show you what they look like that. That way we're not wasting too much time. Okay, there's 3 more. Aren't they gorgeous? Oh my gosh, I just love these. And I can't wait to get to this big one. Actually, all these big ones. Oh my goodness, look at that. The big oval one is very dark, but it's got dark, deep purple flowers in it, and it is absolutely stunning. And then this one is a little pressed rose. Look at how pretty that is. And if you can see, these are really domey. They have a big dome on the top of them. So you can see that's a really high dome on these. That's why I got this mold, because I liked the way that it domed on top. Okay, so here's 3 more. Super duper pretty. This has got like a little daisy in it, and this is also a daisy, but it's like a pink one. This one here though, I don't know if you can see it, but on top, right, let's see, where is it? Right there, it's got a bubble on the top, and the bubble kind of popped, and so it's an indented thing. What I will do is I will fill that with resin and let it dry and cure, and it will be as good as new. So just because you get a big bubble in your pieces, don't give them up. Just add more resin to them, let that cure, and let them do their thing. They will still be usable. So just remember that as you're making these, because you will get bubbles occasionally. This is another, excuse me, another daisy, and this is one of the ones that I put the blue dye behind. And then we've got a little heart and a little teardrop. Super cute. And then if I show you this one again, this one actually has some of the white dye that I put in it. In fact, I'm going to put this one on my hand and maybe show you that way. It's got some of the white dye in it. You can see like the little edges where there's some white. That's from the white dye that I put in the back, and this is what the back looks like. Okay, now I'm going to try and pull a few more of these out, and these I think I'm just going to put on my hand and show them to you, because we need to get this video done, because it's going to be ultra long. No matter what I do, it's going to be a long video. I knew doing resin, it was going to end up being long. So these are the last of them. So we've pulled all of the pendants out of the molds. They all came out beautifully, with the exception of the one that had the bubble and some edges that I'm going to have to clean up. And again, what I would do with those edges, or the bottom, if there's bumps and lumps in the bottom, is I will take a flat piece of sandpaper and I will go like this and I will sand it, get it all nice and smooth, and then I'll take, what I do most of the time is I will use, because I can use it indoors, I'll use my glossy accents and I'll just spread that around the back, and you don't use a brush or anything, you just spread it on and let it sit and dry. And you need to try and get it so that these are sitting straight up, so that you don't have runoff or drippage from these. Don't overdo this, but it works really well. Here's another one with the blue dye behind it. Look how pretty that looks. Super gorgeous. And sometimes that dye just is what finishes them off. Okay, you guys, so I am actually done with this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I hope I didn't make it too long or too boring for you. I'm sorry I had to do this in 2 parts, but that's the way it works with resin. And since I had so many requests to do this video on these, and I also had a lot of requests on these other resin pieces, I thought, okay, I'll just try and do 2 in 1 and show you guys the process for each, because all it was a matter of getting enough resin poured so that I could do both at one time. So it didn't add that much time just because I added another type of resin project. So this is what I've got for you. Let me dive in a little closer and loosen this up if I can get it loose. Oops. And there we go. Super pretty. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I would like to thank you all for subscribing to my channel. Those of you who have subscribed, if you haven't, please make sure you hit the subscribe button below and the bell, so that you'll get notifications when I put out new videos. Let me know if you have other things that you would like to see me do in the future. I'm game for, different ideas and things. If you guys come up with something you'd like to see done, like I said before, I'm always willing to try something new. So anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. We're working on getting to that 2,000 subscriber mark. I'm at 1,730 as of this morning. So, if we can get to the 800 or 1,800, and then we've got 2 more to go, 200 more to go. So, as soon as we get there, I will be doing a giveaway. And what I'll do is I'll do a tutorial video, and whatever I do in that video is what my giveaway will be, and that will be sort of my introduction to the giveaway. So get your friends to subscribe, share my videos, like my videos, and if you enjoy them, and make any comments down below. Any ideas or suggestions, I'm always up for listening. Thanks so much, y'all, and have a really blessed day. Bye-bye.